Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. So, the New Edition story part 2. Let me just say, I am really enjoying this series. I have gotten a kick out of watching this. Today I watched it with my godmom and some of her people, and I don't know why I did that, because you know black folks talk through the whole thing. So I was like, y'all, if y'all can wait till commercial, man. Like, because they want to start reminiscing and talking about what happened in middle school, and, you know, this was their heyday. So it was straight groupies in there, and I was like, y'all, we had to keep rewinding the TV and starting stuff over. That's why this video is coming out so late. But I really enjoyed this episode. But before I get into the synopsis, let me just skip to the end real quick. That rendition of Can You Stand the Rain was so well done. Like, that was such a dope rendition for a movie. Like, we rewinded that like 3 times and played it over and over. Like, it just sounded so good. I don't know if it was 100% the actors or if it was more so Luke James and the guy that's playing Ralph Tresvant, and then they just kind of took the overdubbed vocals from the New Edition track and kind of mixed it together. But it sounded so good. And I felt like they did a great job of capturing the essence of that song as far as just everything from the visuals, like they're in the studio, you got Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who, by the way, that was a good Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis they had, and the candles and all, and it was just like the lighting and the emphasis on the, I don't know, it was just dope. Like, you felt like you were right there while they recorded it, and it just sounded good. And it also goes, and it's kudos to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis as well. Like, they get a lot of credit for what they do with Janet, but I think one gift that they always had, and I kind of talked about this if you follow my R&B is Dead series, I kind of talk about they had a gift for when it came to blending voices, especially people who have different voices, because when you look at the build-up or the lineup of New Edition, especially like in a movie, you could see it. You had Johnny Gill and Ralph Tresvant, 2 very different singers. Ralph Tresvant is what I like to call, he's a member of the Thin Voice Club. And it's not a bad thing, but it just means your voice has no bottom in it. And so you have a very light voice, and on some songs you can sound really good, but there's some songs you just can't really deliver. And so then on the other end you had Johnny Gill, who had this very heavy voice. And I'm sure that in the beginning it was like, how do you merge these voices with those 2 plus the other 4? How are they going to blend? And somehow Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis found the perfect way to do that. And if you listen to that Indie Heartbreak album, all the songs, whether it's You're Not My Kind of Girl, Boys to Men, the Indie Heartbreak single, Can You Stand the Rain, If It Isn't Love, like, it's such a good blend where you can still hear all 5 of them, but it's like, I don't know, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis just have this way where their voices, the people, whoever they work with, the voices like complement the instrument, and it's like, it's reflective of whatever instruments they're using. So you hear flutes and vocals and all kind of stuff. They just have a good sound. And so if you're not familiar with their work, like, they have a bunch of other really great tracks. So Ralph Tresvant, Sensitivity is a great one. Ralph Tresvant, again, Money Can't Buy Love is a dope one. I forgot the ballad he had. I can't remember the name of it. But then even some of the other stuff they did with Janet. So like Come Back to Me and I think Can You Stand the Rain are like cousins of each other. I'm hoping one day there will be a dope DJ that can figure out how to do a good mashup of that. But like, she also has 2 other tracks like Some Days Tonight and Lonely that they all came out around that same time period. So those are all like just straight liquid gold for your ears if you're into that kind of stuff. But back to the movie. Just that, man, that was such a dope rendition. I really appreciate that they're making an effort to make sure the music is up to par with everything else. So it's making this such a polished series. But yo, I didn't realize it had so much drama. Like, I didn't know Mike had temporarily got kicked out the group for spitting on Bobby Brown. I was like, dang, he spit on him one time, he got to get kicked out the whole group? I mean, y'all done did 2 or 3 albums and toured, and, you know, somebody ran over your foot and you pissed off and somebody starts laughing, so you spit in their face, which is kind of low. Nobody should be spitting, but dang, I got to get kicked out the group over that? You know, I was like, that was petty. But, by the way, I told y'all Gary wasn't going to be ish anyway. So Gary, he ain't shit in this whole movie. That's the white dude that I talked about in the last episode. I told y'all, ever since he killed Tyra Banks in High Learning, I ain't rock with him. And so you noticed the entire time in the film, Gary's character, Gary just was so, you knew something was off about him. And it just goes to show again, like when you're talking about the music industry and just anybody who does anything where they step into a community that they're unfamiliar with, or they work with a demographic of people who they have no cultural relatability with, you always see that there's problems. Gary stayed trying to kick all the members out every day of the week. He was trying to get rid of Michael. He was trying to get rid of Bobby every other week. And I understand that business was business, but Gary he got on my nerves. But what got me was when they had the, you know, they were celebrating because I think the tour was over there ready to get their royalty checks and everything like that. And he came there with no money but that big old briefcase full of paper. Like, I would have been so pissed because I knew they thought it was going to be stacks of money. They was just going to be and it was nothing. And see, what got me was he had time to sit there and eat and everything. Like, that's messed up. You knew you was going in their house to tell them they weren't going to be getting no money. You sitting there eating their food. Like, you wouldn't have been eating nothing from my house. You can get out. But that was entertaining. And it was smart that they brought back their original coach from the beginning, because clearly, you know, Gary didn't know what he was doing, and the choreographers and stuff that they were trying to put on him, it just didn't work out. So it's like, sometimes just bring back the original formula, bring what works. You know, they start talking about Bobby and the drug use. Now, this is what I find real interesting, because then this is where there's a lot of questions, because people, when I was growing up, it was always, okay, Bobby's the reason Whitney became a drug addict. And then years down the line, the story flipped, and it was like, no, Whitney introduced Bobby to the drugs, because Bobby just did alcohol. But now this is showing that Bobby was doing coke while he was still in high school. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm going to just take it for a grain of salt. But it was entertaining to see that they were doing drugs at the Don't Do Drugs concert. I'm like, what kind of mess? But I told y'all Dare didn't work. But anyway, what else happened? Oh, yeah, when they were on stage at the concert. That mess was funny. When they were performing, what were they performing? Mr. Telephone Man, I think. And then, you know, Bobby goes and does his Bobby thing and his extra gyrating. And, he's milking the mess out of his time. Mind you, the performance is done. And so, you know, they go ahead and try to switch to the next song. He got mad, and then they did the whole little fight, and he left the stage. When he came back out of nowhere and started trying to sing again, if that wasn't some David Ruffin mess from the Temptations, you know, I'm David Ruffin, these here are the Temptations, like, that was some mess. Like, that was entertaining. And of course, you know, Gary was like, he gotta go. They kicked him out. They had him on the sidewalk. It's like, that's messed up stuff. But man, when they talked about Gary in the Fast Break, I told y'all, like, that was some jacked up stuff. Like, these boys, they didn't even realize they weren't even signed to a label. That was crazy. They were signed to a label, but they weren't signed to MCA. So you had Gary with his label, and then MCA, and I think MCA used to have a parent company over them too. And that probably explained why they weren't getting no money. It's like the money goes to MCA, then to Gary, and Gary's taking all kind of stuff, and then whatever trickles down goes to them. Like, that's some jacked up stuff. But Michael Bivins handled that. Like, he wasn't having it. And I like that they foreshadowed how he was kind of going into the whole entrepreneurship. Because, you know, he's also responsible for, you know, helping discover acts like Another Bad Creation and Boyz II Men. That's all him. And he's definitely been doing that even during his time out of, you know, the spotlight, still working in the industry. And I think he's worth like $40 million or something like that. So he's definitely been doing his thing. And a lot of that money is just from royalties. He ain't even got to do nothing. All he got to do is wake up. So he in control. Oh, Mike Bivins, I ain't mad at you. Oh, man. Oh, okay. And some of you older subscribers that were around, can somebody please verify what they talked about when they said that they had to do the radio station, where the radio station had to do an open call looking for Bobby? If that's true, that is, somebody give me the details on that, please. I'm about to go on YouTube looking that crap up all day tomorrow and see if that's true. That was entertaining. What else? Oh, Lord. And then Ralph Tresvant. I can't ever say his last name. Is it Tresvant? Ralph, okay, Ralph. But when Ralph started feeling himself towards the end, and at this point, this is after Bobby's quit the group, and then, you know, he wants to go solo too. I was like, man, listen, Ralph. And it was kind of crazy. I think he had a point, though, as far as, like, I've done all this, y'all can at least let me get my lane in. But to be honest, if I was in a male group and I wasn't the lead singer, and I know that the one lead singer has already left, and that lead singer had this, you know, reputation, and everybody loved that lead singer, and now the other lead singer, who's the bread and butter of the group, is also leaving. I'd be like, what's that leave? I would have felt some kind of way too. Like, what does that leave us? Especially if I was Ronnie, and Ralph kind of said it, like, you don't do nothing but dance, what you gonna do? You know, go model. Like, I'd feel some kind of way. And, you know, I think, you know, Ralph did have a solo career, but it never got to what I think it could have become. I honestly think, not to go here, but I think if Ralph would have signed with Disney, they would have invested in him a little bit more. But I'm glad he didn't, because we would have never got the Indie Heartbreak album, and who knows if Belle Biv DeVoe would have came out afterwards. But yeah, that first Bobby album I always forget about. He had an album come out before Don't Be Cruel, but I can't remember any of the singles. I remember he had, I think Girl Next Door was on a remix album. I don't know, I forgot the name of the album, but I remember he had this music video and he had on this green shirt. That's all I can remember from it. Because I think it was on VH1 Soul way back in the day. But yeah, it was probably a good thing that Ralph stuck with the contractual agreement and just made it work out, because I think it gave them some more longevity. And I like that. What was it? I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something. Oh well. But anyway, let me look real quick. Oh yeah. If going back to the group when they reformed and you had Johnny Gill and Ralph, I'm wondering how awkward that had to feel. Like if I was Ralph, because once again, if I was a member of the, well, I am a member of the Thin Voice Club. I don't have any problem with my voice either when I sing, but to have to sit there and watch somebody like Johnny Gill come in there, because you know Johnny already was a singer before. He had like the Let Me Be Your, Let Me Be Your Angel with Stacey Lattisaw all by herself, but he had some duets with Stacey Lattisaw Girl, and he had a few other solo tracks, and you know he was kind of coming into his own and his voice was maturing and everything like that. But Johnny had this very commanding voice, and Ralph had a different kind of voice that was, it was still unique and it sounds really good on certain songs, but I would have felt some kind of way. Like that just made me think of Flavor of Love that time when Delicious and Crazy were sitting next to Flav, and Crazy, mind you, I'm not saying Ralph can't sing. Ralph can sing, so fall back. But Crazy on the show couldn't sing, remember? And she kept trying to sing for Flav and playing on the piano, and Delicious was just like, okay. And then Flav asked her to sing, and Delicious went up there and did like some Coco from SWV notes, and Crazy just had to sit there and take it. Like, I feel like that's probably how Ralph might have felt a little bit, because Ralph, as great as his tone was, there just wasn't a lot of power, and Johnny Gill had that. But somehow they made that work. But I've enjoyed this. They fooled me, though. I thought they were about to do If It Isn't Love at the end, but I guess they're going to lead that into the next piece. I can't wait to see how this tour goes down with them having to go on tour with Bobby. That's some messed up stuff. Because at this point, I think by the time they get on the tour in the next episode, Bobby would have been on the Don't Be Cruel album, which is when Bobby becomes the king of R&B. So that will be an interesting episode. So share your thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'm really about to have New Edition stuff on my playlist all day tomorrow. We about to get it in at the lunch break. All right, I'm out. Subscribe.